There will be moments when the world feels quiet, too quiet. Moments when it seems like everyone else is living, and you're just watching life move past you. You begin to question everything, your timing, your progress, your purpose. And in those moments, I want you to remember one truth. You still have time. Not everything meaningful happens fast. Not everything beautiful arrives on schedule. Sometimes, the most powerful things take time. Time to grow, time to heal, time to become. You are not behind, you are not broken. You are becoming stronger, becoming wiser, becoming someone who can carry more light. Because you've walked through the dark. There are people who won't understand the battles you fight in silence. There are moments when you will feel invisible in a world that rewards noise. But silence is not failure. Waiting is not weakness. Slow growth is still growth. You still have time. You still have time to start again, even if you've started over 100 times before. You still have time to say no more to the old patterns that kept you stuck. Time to forgive yourself for the days you fell short. Time to walk away from what hurt you, even if you stayed too long. The clock isn't your enemy. The past isn't your prison. Your story doesn't expire because others seem further ahead. This is your life, and you're allowed to take a different road. You're allowed to begin again, with no permission, no applause, no map. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Present in your healing. Present in your effort. Present in your belief that better days are still ahead. You've survived moments that were meant to break you. You've walked through storms that left you breathless, but you kept walking. That matters more than you know. And if today feels heavy, if your soul is tired, if all you can do is breathe, then breathe with intention. Breathe like someone who still has time to rise. Because you do. You may not see it now, but your life is unfolding in ways you cannot yet imagine. The delays, the detours, the disappointments, they're not there to stop you. They're shaping you, preparing you, making space for something more honest, more aligned, more worthy of who you're becoming. So take the pressure off. You don't have to be amazing today. You just have to be real. You just have to keep moving, even if it's slow, even if it's quiet, even if no one sees you yet. You're not behind. You're being built. You're not late. You're being led. You're not done. You're just beginning. And no matter how many times you've failed, no matter how many times you've cried, no matter how lost you've felt, you still have time to become someone new. You still have time to bloom in a season no one saw coming. You still have time to become the kind of person you needed when you were younger. The kind who speaks with purpose, walks with peace, and lives with fire. You won't always feel strong. Some days you'll question your own worth. But those are the moments when you need to hold yourself closer, speak kinder, rest deeper, because growth isn't always loud. It's often hidden in the small, quiet choices you make when no one is watching. And if today all you did was breathe, that was still enough. Don't underestimate the power it takes to simply stay alive when your heart is heavy and your soul is tired. Don't belittle the days you survived with quiet strength. They count, too, maybe even more than the ones where everything looked perfect. There is a version of you buried deep beneath the doubt and disappointment that remembers how to dream, that still believes in second chances, that still knows how to begin again. You owe it to that version of yourself to keep going. Not fast, not flashy, just forward. You see, we're taught to celebrate the milestones, the wins, the promotions, the breakthroughs. But no one talks enough about the quiet victories. The day you chose peace instead of chaos. The moment you walked away instead of staying stuck. The night you decided to try again tomorrow instead of giving up entirely. Those are victories too. Every breath you take while healing is a seed planted. Every tear you shed while growing is water for your future. And every scar you carry is proof you fought and survived. Maybe you don't know exactly where you're going. Maybe the road is foggy and the signs are missing. But don't stop. Walking your steps are still sacred. Even in the dark, your path is forming beneath you. You don't need to be confident every moment of the day. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to trust the process more than the pressure. Trust the unfolding more than the fear. Trust that there's value in who you are right now, not just in who you'll become. And no matter how far you feel from your goals, remember, distance doesn't disqualify you. Delay doesn't mean denial. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not a sign of failure. It's just the space where you grow, where you're shaped, where you become more than you imagined. You are not just waiting for your moment, you are preparing for it. And preparation is power. So stop comparing your pace to anyone else's. Stop counting your flaws and calling them truth. Stop holding your life up against someone else's highlight reel. Your journey is sacred, your process is personal, and your story deserves to unfold in its own time, in its own way. You still have time to change direction, to shift your mindset, to speak up for yourself, to slow down, to start fresh, to rise again. And the truth is, the person you're becoming won't be built by comfort. They'll be shaped by resilience, grit, patience, grace. Every hard day you've endured has added something to your foundation. Every loss has taught you what truly matters. Every betrayal has deepened your sense of self-worth. Nothing has been wasted, not the tears, not the delays, not even the moments you thought broke you, because here you are still breathing, still trying, still carrying your soul forward even when it's heavy. That is strength. That is courage. That is proof you are not done yet. And even if the world can't see your growth, even if no one applauds, the small changes keep going anyway. Not for them, for you. One day you'll look back and see that everything was coming together, even when it felt like it was falling apart. One day, your current mess will be someone else's motivation. One day you'll thank yourself for not giving up. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you are not where you were, and that matters. Progress is not always visible from the outside. You might not feel the transformation as it's happening. You might not see the small ways you're rising, but you're rising all the same. Healing is quiet. Growth is often invisible, but that doesn't make it any less real. Think of the roots of a tree. You don't see them pushing through the soil, reaching deep, grabbing strength from the earth. But without those roots, nothing above could stand. That's what you're doing now, becoming rooted in your own power, quietly, deeply, unshakably. And I know it's tempting to want proof that your efforts matter, proof that the pain wasn't for nothing, proof that the universe sees you, that your prayers aren't echoing into emptiness. But faith is believing in what you can't yet see. It's trusting that something is working, even when everything feels still. Sometimes the biggest miracles begin in silence. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come after the longest waits. Sometimes the path you thought was closed is just taking its time to open. You still have time to create something beautiful. Time to fall in love with your life again. Time to reconnect with the version of you that never stopped dreaming. Time to become someone that future you will thank. And when the weight of the past tries to hold you down, remember this. You are not defined by who you were. You are not bound by your mistakes. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to grow. Out of old identities, out of old habits, out of versions of yourself that no longer fit. You were never meant to stay the same. The you that was lost is not the you that must stay lost. You can find yourself again. In the laughter you forgot you had. In the quiet moments when no one's watching. In the small acts of self-kindness you once neglected. You are worth the effort. Worth the patience. Worth the wait. Maybe no one else told you this. So let me say it now. I'm proud of you for getting up, for continuing on, for being here. You've been carrying so much, the pressure, the doubt, the fears that keep whispering that maybe this is as far as you go. But they're wrong. You are not at your limit. You are not at the end. You are just at a bend in the road, a quiet turn that leads somewhere unexpected. Keep walking. Even when you're tired, even when it's slow, even when you're not sure what's next. Keep walking, because the next step you take might be the one that changes everything. The shift doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives in silence. Sometimes it shows up only after you've walked blindly for miles with nothing but hope in your hands. That's what you're doing now. You're planting hope with every breath. You're proving to yourself that your life is still yours. No matter how heavy the past was, no matter how long it's taken to heal, no matter how far you feel from where you want to be, there is time for joy, for peace, for purpose, for softness, for strength, for change. You do not have to settle. You do not have to shrink to make others comfortable. You do not have to carry the weight of a life that no longer feels like your own. This is your moment to choose differently, to believe differently, to speak to yourself with more love, to stop waiting for the world to approve of your healing and simply begin as you are, where you are. No map, no manual, just faith, just fire, just the quiet courage that whispers, I still have time. And you do, more than you realize. You still have time to forgive yourself for the years you spent doubting your worth. You still have time to heal the parts of you that you've been hiding. You still have time to stop running from the silence and start listening to it, because it's in the quiet where truth often speaks the loudest. Let go of the story that says you're too late, that you've missed it, that everyone else has moved on and there's no space left for you to catch up. That story was never yours. It was planted by fear, watered by comparison, and nurtured by a world obsessed with speed. But your story is not meant to be rushed. It's meant to be real. Real growth, real lessons, real moments of falling and rising. That's how you build a life that lasts. Not with quick wins or perfect plans, but with heart, with persistence, with presence. And don't let the timeline of others pressure you. Some people find their passion early. Others stumble into it at 40. Some find love young. Others find it when they've learned to love themselves first. There's no universal clock ticking above your head. There's just your rhythm, your pace, your journey. Honor that. Because rushing what's meant to unfold will only rob you of the joy in the becoming. The joy in the slow and sacred rise, the kind of rise that's built on depth, not just speed, on purpose, not just pressure. There is no shame in taking your time. There is no shame in starting late. There is only courage in beginning it all. You don't have to feel ready. You don't need every answer. You don't need the applause of others. All you need is one more breath, one more belief, one more reason to say I'm not done yet, because your life hasn't peaked. Your best moments aren't behind you. Your most meaningful connections, your deepest peace, your most powerful breakthroughs, they're still out there waiting for you to reach them, waiting for you to believe in their possibility. You are still unfolding, still transforming, still becoming. And no, it doesn't always feel beautiful. Sometimes it feels like falling apart, like breaking down, like everything you thought you knew no longer fits the person you're becoming. That's okay. That's part of it. Growth requires shedding. Evolving requires release. You can't carry the weight of your old self into the next chapter. And that's not failure, it's freedom. So release the guilt, release the shame, release the idea that you have to do it all alone. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to not be okay and still move forward anyway. Progress is messy. Healing is non-linear, but your journey is valid even when it's imperfect. You are not a project to fix. You are a soul to nurture. A story still being written, and the pen is still in your hand. You still have time. Time to become someone who is at peace with themselves. Time to build something that outlives your fear. Time to speak words that align with your truth. Time to walk in rooms without shrinking. Time to make decisions that serve your future, not your past. Time to breathe deeply, to feel fully, to live honestly, because it's not too late. Not for you. Not ever. Asterisk, there is no fixed deadline for becoming who you're meant to be. No expiration date on purpose. No set timeline for healing, for rediscovery, for blooming. You were not sent here to be on time. You were sent here to be true. And truth doesn't always follow a clock. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it unfolds in the shadows before it ever sees the light. And sometimes it shows up in pieces, tiny, quiet revelations that whisper, "There's more in you than you've allowed yourself to see." You still have time to believe that. Time to trust that your softness is not weakness, that your emotions are not flaws, that your past is not a life sentence, but a stepping stone. You still have time to step forward with trembling hands and say, "I'm scared, but I'm showing up anyway." That kind of courage, the quiet kind, that's what creates real change. Not shouting, not perfection, but the vulnerable decision to stay in the fight, even when your heart is bruised and your vision is blurred. Your journey has never been about speed. It's about direction. And today, even if all you've done is take one small step forward, you're moving in the right direction. You are learning how to hold space for your own heart, how to carry your past without letting it control you, how to face uncertainty without giving in to fear. And if you feel tired, that's okay. You're allowed to feel the weight of everything and still believe in something better. Exhaustion doesn't mean you failed. It means you've been strong for too long without rest. So breathe. Slow down, come back to your center. You're not running out of time. You're realigning, recalibrating, finding the pace that belongs to you. The life you want, the peace, the strength, the clarity, it's not out of reach. It's already inside you, waiting to be chosen, waiting for you to stop rushing and start listening. To your body, to your soul, to the still voice that says, "We're not done yet." There's more to this story. You are not what the world told you to be. You are more than the roles you've played, more than the labels you've been given. You are not your worst day. You are not your lowest point. You are not the version of yourself you outgrew but were too afraid to release. You are becoming, and becoming is messy. But mess isn't the opposite of meaning. Often it's the birthplace of something sacred. Your pain has shaped your depth. Your setbacks have refined your resilience. And your detours, the ones that broke your heart, are leading you somewhere better. So don't rush the process. Don't shame the path. Don't believe the lie that you're too far gone, because you still have time. Time to rebuild with better tools. Time to rest without guilt. Time to become someone you truly admire. Not because the world applauds you, but because you finally see yourself clearly. That's the real win. Not likes, not status, not timelines, but self-acceptance, quiet confidence, inner freedom, peace. You don't need to wait for perfect circumstances to begin again. Begin here. Begin tired, begin unsure, begin anyway, because action creates clarity, and movement, even the smallest kind, breaks the chains of stagnation. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to grow beyond what they expected. You are allowed to want more, not out of greed, but out of a deep knowing that your life has more in it, more beauty, more strength, more depth, more purpose, and it's not too late to find it. It's not too late to feel it. It's not too late to live it. You are not broken, you are breaking open. And that's different, because breaking open allows the light to reach places in you that darkness has kept hidden for too long. You are not shattering, you are shedding. And every layer that falls away brings you closer to the truth of who you really are. Don't be afraid of these cracks in your story. Don't hide the parts of you that tremble when the wind changes. It's those very places, the tender ones, the scarred ones, where strength is born, where wisdom lives. This world might have taught you that you have to be unshakable to be worthy, that you need to have your life together before you deserve love, respect, peace. But that's a lie. You are worthy even in the becoming, especially in the becoming. Because the truth is, the people who inspire us the most are rarely the ones who never fell. They're the ones who stood up when it was hardest to rise, the ones who cried and kept going, the ones who doubted and still dared, the ones who kept their hearts open even when it felt safer to shut them down. That's what you're doing. Every single day you wake up and try again, that's your power. Every moment you face the fear and still choose to speak, to move, to hope, that's your bravery. and no one else needs to see it for it to be real. No one needs to validate your effort for it to matter. The world will try to measure you by progress charts, likes, followers, titles, money. But you are not numbers. You are soul. You are light. You are story, and your story isn't over. There is a new chapter waiting for you. And no, it won't always be easy, but it will be honest. And honest is more important than easy. Because real growth is born in the truth of where you've been, the truth of what you've survived, the truth of what you still carry. So carry it. But carry it with grace. Carry your pain like a seed, not a stone. A seed will take root and grow something new. A stone will only weigh you down. You get to choose every day. You get to choose how you speak to yourself, how you interpret your past, how you step into your future. And no, you didn't choose everything that happened to you, but you get to choose what you build from here. You get to write the next page. You get to pick up the pen with trembling hands and say, this is not how my story ends, because you still have time. Time to love better. Time to love deeper, starting with yourself. Time to leave what drains you and walk toward what restores you. Time to break cycles, to heal patterns, to be the one in your family who did it differently. Don't end. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it gets lonely. Yes, there will be days when you question everything, including yourself. But stay with it. Stay in the process. Stay in your body. Stay in the work, not because it's glamorous, but because it's yours. This is your life, your chance, your path, and there is no one way to get there. There is only your way, made of detours and tears and sunrises and shaky beginnings and sudden breakthroughs and quiet prayers, whispered when no one else hears. All of that is holy. All of that is part of it, so don't give up on the middle just because it doesn't look like the end you imagined. You still have time, and this is just the beginning. Asterisk, you still have time to come back home to yourself, to return to the voice you silenced, the dreams you abandoned, the softness you traded for survival. There's no shame in what you had to do to make it this far, but you're allowed to evolve beyond it now. You don't have to live in defense mode anymore. You don't have to brace for impact with every step you take. This chapter isn't about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about walking without armor, loving without fear, resting without guilt. You've carried the weight of other people's expectations for so long, now it's time to carry only what aligns with your truth. You get to choose how you live this life, not based on fear, but based on what sets your soul on fire. And you don't need anyone's permission to change, not your past's permission, not your family's, not your old selves. This moment right here, right now, is your green light. You are not the same person you were before. That's not failure, that's growth. Growth is supposed to feel unfamiliar. It's supposed to feel strange when you no longer fit the version of yourself that tolerated so little just to keep the peace. That's not you anymore, and I know it hurts to outgrow people. It hurts to walk away from what once felt like home, but sometimes, what once felt like home was actually a cage, a version of comfort that kept you small. Now, you're choosing freedom, and freedom is not always neat. It's not always understood, but it's yours and it's worth it, so walk tall. Even if your knees are shaking, walk forward, even if the map is blurry, because your next chapter begins with your decision. To believe that you still have time. Time to explore the world with open eyes, time to rebuild trust in others, in life, in yourself, time to release the people who love you with conditions, time to embrace the version of you who refuses to settle. Let the world call you unrealistic, let them say you've changed. That's okay. You were never meant to stay who you were yesterday. You were born to evolve, born to rise, born to rewrite your story as many times as it takes. There is no final draft, only constant refinement, only truth and intention, only this breath, and the next one, and the one after that. You are not chasing time. You are becoming in time. And every time you choose presence over panic, self-compassion over shame, grace over perfection, you heal something. You heal the child who wondered if they were ever enough. You heal the adult who forgot they were allowed to dream again. You heal the future that was once blurred by fear. And no, healing isn't always poetic. Sometimes it's just sitting in silence, breathing through the ache, and choosing not to go numb. That counts too. That's brave too. You still have time to create a life that doesn't exhaust you, a life that doesn't feel like a performance, a life that feels like home to your heart, your mind, your spirit. And maybe the timeline didn't go the way you thought it would. That's okay, because maybe, just maybe, this detour was the only road that could have led you back to yourself. You still have time, and you're doing better than you think. You still have time to discover peace, not just in the big victories, but in the quiet in-between moments. The mornings when you wake up and no longer feel afraid. The nights when your mind isn't at war with itself. That peace is possible, and it starts when you stop chasing and start trusting. Trusting that you are exactly where you need to be, not because everything is perfect, but because this is where your soul is growing. This is where the layers are being peeled back. This is where you're learning the most sacred truth, that you don't need to become someone else to be worthy. You just need to remember who you already are. Let that truth sink in. You're not behind, you're not late, You're on a sacred journey of becoming, and no one else has walked your exact path. No one else has carried what you've carried with the same strengths, the same grace, the same quiet endurance. So stop comparing your timeline to theirs. They are not ahead. You are not behind. You are simply different, and that difference is your gift. You still have time to slow down, to stop running from the moments that ask you to be still. Sometimes the most profound healing happens in the silence, in the pause, in the letting go. Let go of what you thought your life had to be in order to be beautiful. Let go of the version of success that leaves you burnt out. Let go of the identity that was shaped only to please others. You still have time to redefine everything. Success doesn't have to be loud. It can be soft, gentle, quiet. Sometimes success is just making it through the day with your integrity intact. Sometimes it's choosing rest instead of overworking. Sometimes it's saying no to something that doesn't feel right anymore. That matters. That counts. You don't need to prove your worth through endless striving. You don't need to hustle for your value. You already are valuable right here, right now, just as you are. You still have time to stop apologizing for your needs, for your dreams, for your voice. You were not made to shrink to fit into boxes. You were not made to stay silent so others could stay comfortable. Your truth is not too much. Your presence is not a burden. Your light does not need to be dimmed to make others feel better. Shine anyway, speak anyway, rise anyway, because someone, somewhere is waiting for a voice like yours, a story like yours, a heart like yours. And you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You just have to be real. You still have time to reconnect with the things that bring you joy. The small, simple things that remind you why you're here. A walk in the morning sun, the sound of rain, music that moves something deep inside you, a book that stirs your soul, a conversation that makes you feel alive. Don't overlook those moments. They're not distractions from your purpose. They are part of your purpose. Because joy is medicine, and you are allowed to feel good. You are allowed to enjoy your life. You still have time to heal the relationship you have with yourself, to become someone who no longer speaks to their own soul in cruel, sharp words. Someone who stands in front of the mirror and says, "I'm proud of you. I see how hard you've been trying. I love who you're becoming." That is the voice your heart needs. Not the voice of criticism, not the voice of fear, but the voice of compassion. That's the voice that builds lasting change, and it's never too late to become that voice. You still have time to love, time to lead, time to learn, time to let go, time to live fully, deeply, honestly. You're not waiting for life to start. You're in it right now, and it's messy and imperfect and beautiful. Don't miss it. Don't rush it. Don't wish it away. You still have time, and that is a gift. Don't waste it trying to be who you think you should be. Use it to become who you truly are. Asterisk, you still have time to forgive yourself. You've been carrying guilt like a shadow, haven't you? Letting it weigh down your joy. Whispering to yourself that you should have known better, done better, healed faster. But what if I told you that guilt was never yours to carry? What if you gave yourself the grace you so freely give to everyone else? You were doing your best with what you had, with what you knew, in a moment that asked more of you than anyone ever saw. And even if you made mistakes, even if you lost your way, you are not defined by those moments. You are defined by your return to love, to awareness, to truth, to the soft parts of you that still believe in something good. The fact that you care so deeply, that you're still trying, still rising, still reaching, that matters more than any misstep. You still have time to be proud of yourself, not just for the progress you've made, but for the battles. No one saw the nights you cried alone and wiped your own tears, the mornings you got out of bed even when everything inside you screamed to stay down, the conversations you didn't want to have, but needed to, the decisions you made that no one clapped for, but that changed everything. That strength, and maybe no one else applauded it, but I hope you do. I hope you pause for a moment and really see the person you've become, not in comparison to anyone else, but in comparison to who you used to be, because you've grown, quietly, boldly, softly, in ways the world may never fully understand. You still have time to surround yourself with people who don't just like you for what you do, but for who you are. People who speak your name with kindness, who hold your truth gently, who celebrate your presence, not just your performance. You are allowed to choose relationships that feel like rest, not pressure, like oxygen, not suffocation. You still have time to build boundaries that protect your peace. You don't need to explain why you can no longer show up the same way. Healing changes your capacity, and that's not weakness. That's wisdom. You get to say, "I can't be that person for you anymore." You get to say, "This version of me is no longer available." You get to say, "I need more, and I won't apologize for it." That's not being selfish. That's being whole. You still have time to love again, to trust again, to hope again. Maybe not in the same way, with the same people, or through the same lens, but you are not incapable of love. You are not too damaged to feel joy again. Love might look different now, softer, slower, more cautious, but that doesn't make it any less real. In fact, it makes it more sacred. You still have time to create something beautiful, not because the world needs another masterpiece, but because you need to express what lives inside of you. That poem, that song, that story, that dream, That idea, it wasn't placed in your soul by accident. You are a vessel for something sacred, a bridge between the invisible and the tangible. Don't dismiss your creativity. It's not a luxury, it's a language, and it's how your soul breathes. You still have time to change directions, to pivot, to let go of the old plan and write a new one. You are not a failure for wanting something different now. What once made sense might no longer feel right, and that's okay. You get to evolve, you get to start again. You get to walk away from what was once your dream in order to chase what now feels like your truth. That's not giving up. That's growing up, and you still have time. Time to realign. Time to come alive. Time to make peace with who you've been and fall in love with who you're becoming. This life isn't passing you by, it's unfolding around you, waiting for you to open your eyes, to open your heart, to open your hands and say, I'm ready now. Not perfect, not certain, but ready. Because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a choice, and you're allowed to choose now. You still have time to believe again in yourself, in your journey, in the quiet unfolding of something greater than you can yet see. Belief isn't about having proof. It's about choosing to see possibility where others see a dead end. It's about whispering, maybe, even when everything around you says no. And maybe you've stopped believing because of how many times life knocked the wind out of you. Maybe your faith has grown weary, your hope a little dim. But listen, hope doesn't have to roar to be real. Sometimes it's just a flicker, a breath, a heartbeat, a decision not to give up. You still have time to believe in the goodness of your future. Not because everything has been easy, but because you are resilient. You're still standing, you're still here. You're still open to healing, and that alone is a revolution. You still have time to leave the role you were never meant to play, the one that kept you small, the one that made you say yes when you meant no, the one that made you feel like love had to be earned, that worth had to be proven, that your voice didn't matter. It mattered then, it matters now, it always will. So, speak, not because you need to be loud, but because silence should not be the price you pay for peace. Speak your boundaries, speak your dreams, speak your truth even if your voice shakes. You still have time to let go of being strong in the way the world taught you. Strength isn't pretending you're okay. Strength is allowing yourself to not be okay and still choosing to live. Still choosing to show up. Still choosing to love. True strength is soft, vulnerable, honest. It cries, it breaks, it kneels, and then it rises. You still have time to be the person you once needed. The one who didn't judge. The one who listened. The one who said, I see you. Maybe no one did that for you, but you can do that now. For yourself and for others. Be the safe place. Be the warmth. Be the grace. You still have time to come out of hiding. You've worn masks for so long, just trying to fit in, to be accepted, to be loved, but you don't need to hide anymore. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to be, and being is enough. Your presence is enough. You still have time to rest deep, sacred, restorative rest. The kind of rest that tells your nervous system, you are safe now. The kind of rest that doesn't wait for burnout to be allowed. Rest isn't something you earn, it's something you deserve, and you don't have to apologize for needing it. You still have time to grieve, not just what you lost, but what you never got. The childhood you didn't have, the love you were denied, the apologies that never came. Let yourself feel it. Grief is not weakness, it is a portal. It makes room for what's next. Feel it, and then keep going. Lighter, softer, clearer. You still have time to rewrite the story, the one that told you you're not enough, the one that told you to settle, the one that convinced you that safety is better than joy, that familiarity is better than freedom, that surviving is better than living. You are the author now. You get to pick up the pen and say, this part of the story will be different, this part will be mine. And yes, it's scary to change, but you know what's scarier? Staying stuck in a life that no longer fits your spirit. You still have time to become, to expand, to unlearn, to open, to trust, to rise. The world hasn't seen the best of you yet, because the best of you is not what you've achieved. It's how you keep showing up. It's how you stay soft in a world that hardens people. It's how you keep choosing light even when darkness is easier. That is your power. That is your beauty. That is your legacy. You still have time. And as long as you do, there is always hope. Asterisk, you still have time to become the calm within the chaos. Life can be loud, demanding, relentless, but inside you, beneath all the noise, there's a still place, a quiet knowing, a center that's untouched by the world's pressure. You've been trained to look outside for validation, for permission, for direction. But what if the answers you've been seeking aren't out there? What if they've been waiting inside of you all along? You still have time to listen, not just to your mind, but to your body, to your heart, to your breath. Your body carries wisdom your thoughts can't always access. It knows when something feels off. It knows when something feels right. Trust that wisdom. Honor that signal. It's not overthinking, it's your intuition. You still have time to unlearn the lies that shaped you, the ones that said you had to be perfect to be loved, that rest equals laziness, that your softness is weakness, that you need to fix yourself before you can love yourself. You don't need fixing. You need nurturing. You need acceptance. You need space to be who you are without condition or compromise. You still have time to stop measuring your worth in productivity. You are not your output. You are not a machine. You are not here to prove anything. You are here to live, and living includes rest, slowness, joy, laughter, wonder. You still have time to live in alignment with what actually matters to you. Not what looks good, not what sounds impressive, not what gets the most approval, but what feels true, what lights you up from the inside. Because peace is found where alignment lives, and no one else can define that for you. You still have time to detach from what you can't control, other people's opinions, their reactions, their expectations. That's not yours to manage. What's yours is how you show up, how you care for yourself, how you stay rooted in your truth even when others don't understand. That's your power, and you don't have to trade it away just to make someone else comfortable. You still have time to feel deeply, to let joy move through you like a song, to cry without apologizing, to laugh so loudly it startles the silence, to live with a heart that's fully open, even after all the ways it's been broken. Because your ability to feel is your ability to live. Don't numb it, don't harden it. Protect it and let it guide you. You still have time to slow down and witness the beauty you've been too busy to see. The way the sun kisses the morning sky, the quiet way your breath rises and falls, the moments of connection, presence. Oh, you don't need to chase a better life. You need to see the life you're already in and give thanks for it, even in the mess, even in the waiting. You still have time to forgive others, not for their sake, but for your freedom. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you're choosing not to let it control your spirit anymore. You're choosing peace over poison. That it takes strength to let go. It takes strength to move on. And you have that strength in you. You still have time to love yourself in a way you never have before, not based on how productive you are, how attractive you feel, or how much you've accomplished, but simply because you are here. You are here, and that is enough. You still have time to stop performing, stop pretending, stop being who the world told you to be. You don't need to wear masks anymore. You don't need to shrink your spirit to fit in. You belong as you are, where you are, who you are. You still have time to reclaim your story. You still have time to start living the way your soul always wanted to. You still have time. You still have time to soften in a world that's taught you to harden, to protect, to brace. But your softness is not a flaw. It is your superpower. The tenderness in your heart is not something to be ashamed of. It's proof that you've survived without losing your humanity. You don't have to become cold just because the world can be. You don't have to become numb just because life has hurt you. You can still be gentle and still be strong. That balance lives inside you, that quiet, unshakable grace, that fierce, tender strength. You still have time to remember what matters. Not the noise, not the pressure, not the need to prove or to please, but the simple, real, human moments. Being present with someone you love, being honest with yourself, breathing slowly and deeply, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, smiling not for others, but because you're finally at peace with who you are. You still have time to stop rushing, to stop living in reaction, to stop waking up already feeling behind. Life isn't a race, and your worth isn't measured by how fast you climb or how much you do. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is pause, is breathe, is be. Need to chase every opportunity. You don't need to say yes to every ask. You don't need to fill every hour. There is power in quiet. There is magic in stillness. You still have time to fall in love with your life. Not a perfect life, not a flawless one, but your life. The one with the bruises and the bloom. The one with the mess and the meaning. The one that no one else can live but you. Fall in love with your resilience, with your curiosity, with your compassion, with your way of always getting back up, with the way you keep believing there's more. Because there is more. More healing, more clarity, more connection, more depth, more peace, more joy. And it's not locked away in some distant future. It's already unfolding bit by bit, step by step, inside your courage, inside your decisions, inside your willingness to keep going. You still have time to ask, what do I want? And wait long enough to hear the answer, not what others want, not what sounds right, but what feels right, what aligns, what makes you light up. Because this life, it's yours, and you don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe anyone your dreams. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that keeps you stuck. You still have time to let it be easier, to stop carrying things alone, to allow support in, to say, I need help. That doesn't make you weak, that makes you human. You still have time to show yourself the love you were waiting for, to become your own safe place, to become your own home. You are not too broken. You are not too late. You are not too old, too tired, too lost. You are right, on time for your own healing, your own blooming, your own rising. You still have time. Time to breathe, time to rebuild, time to rediscover who you are without the fear, without the guilt, without the pressure to be someone else. Time to love your life from the inside out. Time to just be. And in that being, in that quiet presence, in that truth, something beautiful begins again. Asterisk. You still have time to come home to yourself, to remember who you were before the world told you who to be, before comparison dimmed your light, Before expectations turned your joy into a checklist, before fear made you hide your heart behind walls, you're still in there, that wild, free, radiant version of you, not a stranger, not lost, just waiting. Waiting for you to stop doubting, waiting for you to stop running, waiting for you to turn inward and say, I see you now, I'm coming back. You still have time to make peace with the past, not by pretending it didn't happen, not by sweeping the pain under the rug, but by allowing yourself to feel it, honor it, and finally release it. The pain was real, the wounds were deep, but the story doesn't have to end there. You are not the sum of what broke you, you are the force that kept going. You are the courage that refused to let the pain define you. Let that be your identity now. Let that be the truth you walk in. You still have time to stop trying to earn love. Love is not a transaction. You don't need to achieve to be enough. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. You are not lovable because of what you do. You are lovable because you are. Let that truth settle into your bones. You still have time to protect your peace, unapologetically, to unfollow what drains you, to walk away from what triggers self-doubt, to say no with firmness and yes with joy. You don't need permission to honor your energy. You don't need validation to choose yourself. You choosing yourself is the most radical act of healing you can offer this world. Because when you are well, when you are whole, when you are not running on empty, you give others permission to do the same. You still have time to stop fearing your emotions. Sadness is not weakness. Anger is not evil. Fear is not failure. Every emotion is a message, a mirror, an invitation. Instead of pushing it away, ask it, what are you here to teach me? Because within your emotions lies the map back to yourself. You still have time to stop shrinking. Stop minimizing your magic. Stop pretending you don't care when you deeply do. Stop hiding your light just to make others comfortable. You were never meant to dim. You were meant to shine, not in competition with anyone else, but in harmony with the world around you. There's room for you, for your voice, for your gifts, for your essence. You still have time to be free, not reckless, not careless, but free in your spirit, in your choices, in your truth. Freedom doesn't mean escaping responsibilities. It means no longer betraying yourself to meet them. It means living aligned with your values, speaking with honesty, moving with intention. You still have time to fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. Life is not just a goal to be reached, it's a journey to be felt, a daily unfolding, a sacred rhythm. The small moments matter, the in-between, the ordinary, the pauses, the breaths, the choosing of joy in places that seem mundane. You still have time to start over as many times as it takes. Healing isn't linear, growth isn't a straight line. Some days will feel like victory, and others will feel like starting from zero. That's okay. Every time you rise, even with trembling hands, you're building something unbreakable. You still have time to live with softness, time to walk with presence, time to love without fear, time to be exactly who you are and know that it's more than enough. You still have time to unhook yourself from the idea that your life must look like anyone else's. Let that comparison go. The one that says you're behind because someone else is ahead. Their path is not yours. Their timeline is not your truth. Their version of success doesn't have to be your dream. You are not in competition. You are in conversation with your own becoming. You still have time to let joy in again. Not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet joy. The joy of washing your face in the morning. The joy of making your favorite tea. The joy of finishing a sentence in your journal that feels like an exhale. You don't need fireworks to feel alive. Sometimes the light is soft, and still, it's enough. You still have time to outgrow the labels you've been given. The ones that limited you. The ones that boxed you in. The ones that made you doubt your own potential. You were never meant to be confined by what others decided for you. You are a living, breathing evolution, and you get to outgrow people, places, patterns, without apology. You still have time to trust yourself, not blindly, not recklessly, but fully, with intention, with reverence. You've questioned your instincts for so long, but what if they were right all along? What if the discomfort wasn't confusion, it was truth knocking on your door? You don't need everyone else to understand your choices. You just need to trust why you made them. You still have time to make peace with your reflection. To look in the mirror without flinching, without critiquing, without measuring yourself against a fabricated standard. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a body, a soul, a miracle in motion. Stand in front of your mirror. Look yourself in the eyes. Say, I deserve to take up space. I am allowed to exist fully. I am not too much. I am not too little. I am exactly who I'm meant to be. You still have time to be present, really present, not just in body, but in spirit. To sit across from someone and actually listen. To watch the way the wind moves through the trees. To taste your food slowly, to laugh like it matters. Because it does. Presence is power. It's where life is actually. If lived, you still have time to be kind to yourself, especially on the hard days, the days where motivation is low, where everything feels heavy, where you're not sure if you're making progress at all. Those are the days when grace matters. Most you are still worthy on the days you feel tired, still valuable on the days you feel lost, still loved even when you can't feel it. You still have time to live from love, not fear. Love says, you are already enough. Fear says, you need to do more to be worthy. Love says there is space for you. Fear says, you have to compete to belong. Choose love every time. Even when fear is louder, you still have time to find your rhythm again. Life moves in seasons. You don't have to be in bloom all the time. Rest is not stagnation. Slowness is not failure. Sometimes your spirit is planting roots before the next rise, and that pause, it's sacred. You still have time to honor what you've survived. Take a moment, breathe, reflect. Look how far you've come, not just in what you've achieved, but in what you've endured, and how many times you chose to rise when no one was watching. That strength, it lives inside you forever. You still have time to choose again. This minute, this breath, this heartbeat, it's a new invitation. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect plan. You just need the courage to say, I am not done yet. Because you're not. You still have time. Asterisk, you still have time to breathe differently. Not the shallow, rushed kind of breathing that barely keeps you afloat, but deep, intentional, healing breath. The kind that tells your nervous system you are safe. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to be here. That breath, it's your anchor. When everything feels uncertain, return to it. Trust it. It's the first sign of life, and it will always bring you back to yourself. You still have time to rewrite the stories that were never yours to carry. The story that said you're unworthy. The one that said love must be earned. The one that we convinced you you're only valuable when you're useful. These stories were planted by pain, by fear, by people who hadn't yet healed themselves. But you get to edit the script. You get to become the author now. And your new story can sound like this. I am not a burden. I am not behind. I am healing. I am growing. I am allowed to change. I am worthy even now. Even now, you still have time to welcome softness back into your life. To rest without guilt. To feel without apology. To walk slower, speak gentler, love deeper. The world may push you to be hard, fast, unfeeling. But your soul was not built for burnout. You were built to feel. Let that be enough today. Let that be powerful. You still have time to be real, not polished, not perfect, just real. You can let the mask slip. You can admit you're tired. You can ask for a hug. You can tell the truth, even if your voice shakes. There is something sacred about honesty. There is something healing about being witnessed exactly as you are. The right people won't flinch when you're vulnerable. They will lean in closer. You still have time to hold space for joy and sorrow at the same time. Healing isn't all sunshine. Growth isn't always pretty. Some days you'll laugh through tears. Some days you'll grieve in the middle of gratitude. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're alive. You don't have to pick one feeling and pretend it's the only truth. You are complex. You are layered. And it's okay to hold both the joy and the ache and honor them equally. You still have time to get quiet with yourself and ask, what am I still holding on to that no longer serves me? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's someone else's voice telling you who you should be. Let it go. You don't need to carry it anymore. You are allowed to put it down. To walk forward lighter, freer, more yourself. You still have time to believe in beauty again, not just outside you, but within. Your smile, your strength, your ability to keep going. The way your heart still hopes, still loves, still believes. That's beautiful. You still have time to create a life that feels like home. Not a mansion, not a fantasy. Just a life where you feel safe to be yourself. A life where you don't have to escape. Where peace isn't a place, it's a feeling inside you. That's the goal. That's the truth. That's the real wealth. You still have time to stop surviving and start living fully. Wholly, bravely. The world may want you to rush, to chase, to compare. But your soul, it just wants you to